So you are, Ramadan. So you are. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. How you all doing? Do you guys remember to eat food? Let's reload this thing. There we go. There we go. Okay. Almost ready to get started, aren't we? Just gonna catch up with Discord first. Okay, I think the fill attribute is done, so we're gonna close this thread. Close thread. Canvas drawing. We're waiting on that one. Notice that we're waiting for that one. All right, closing this thread for now. There we go. Let's start off with a game doll. Unlimited classic nonsense. What was the last thing we did? Last Spectre. Professor Layton. That's it, right? Okay, let's see what's the next thing we get. Ew, what is this? This is some kind of RTS thing. Red alert. It's not red alert, but we're going to type it anyway. Red alert doesn't even exist. All right. Something red. Strategy something. What are the warships? I don't know this game. Hearts of Iron. Yeah, no idea. No idea. Okay, so let's see. One thing that I have to do. Oh, hang on. Pierre is ready again. Once more comment to read first through if you're happy with it. Okay, let's do a thumbs up on that. And then let's have a look at the thing. This will be buffer wrapping protection by Doddy. Files changed. So this is doing the check on the buffer. I wonder if we want to do this check on the buffer now. So that's going to be very annoying for Doddy, but I think we have to look at the back end first. Okay, put, that's public. And that's put glyph. So let's see, that's going to call self.put. I wonder if this is the only place we actually need to do this check then. Well, that's not true anymore. That's not true, damn it. Right. So I think this thing should maybe not. I think we're going to merge this though, and then I can go back and review some of this stuff. I do love them tests to be here. So, but I think we can simplify this, but we're going to merge this. Well, first we have to approve and run it, apparently. So all of this can probably be put into Is this the right buffer? Put glyph. Yeah. Read at Doddy. Huh? Oh, read my comment first too. Which comment? Yeah, link the comment. Where should I read the comment? Jump to the bottom. This one? There's a small performance issue. So what's the performance issue where the canvas is marked as dirty? You mean here, if we do a put outside of the visible space? Is that what you mean? I won't worry about that. We're going to rewrite the canvas anyway. This is, for all intents and purposes, not a good widget. So we're going to rewrite that one. That is not an issue. What I do wonder is why we didn't have bounce checks before and it was fine. Why do we need bounce checks now? Is what I'm thinking. Hang on. Yes, I understand what I'm saying. It's okay. So this comes from the canvas being the issue, but I think when we get to the drawing code here, yeah, but that's canvas related. That's not buffer related. Yeah, so all these issues are around the canvas, not around the buffer, which makes me think that maybe in our paint context, we might be doing this. Hello, Wairu. So the paint context has a function to put glyphs. And it will not allow you to paint. So we're doing the check twice. Don't worry about a break test, is fine. As long as you don't leave the test broken. All right, I'll have a look in a second. I think this is why we don't do the bounce checking on the buffer, because we have this in here already. So we end up doing double bounce checking. This is what we're doing to check that the character can be placed inside the local region. But this one only looks at the width. not the height. Oh no, it does look at the height. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna merge this, and then we're gonna roll back some of this. This one was doing the fix on the canvas, right? So forget the buffer for a second and the screen. What's happening with the screen? Check no content was overwritten. Oh, it's the test. All right. That's good. Then we got the canvas. This one is where we want to do the check. Are you meowing? So this is good. So I think this is good, Dottie. We're going to merge this. I am going to roll back some of this and move some things around. But in general, I think this is good. So let's just merge this. As long as it's green text, green ticks all the way. There you go. Merge. Okay, that means that I am going to pull So we're going to do a change now on the back end, on the buffer. So this put glyph, this thing can be done. It has to be done there if we're going to do it. I think we are not going to do this check here. That should break some tests now, yeah? Because we end up doing the check twice, right? And we have more behavior associated with that. So how many tests am I breaking now? Two. The other check is done on the paint context. When the paint context goes to place something, it will check that the position is inside here. So placing a glyph on the surface is a little bit involved. We're making sure that it's inside the clipping region, which actually this thing kind of makes this redundant because everything's going to have clipping regions. Checking if it's a new line glyph. We should probably not have new line glyphs, but either way, this is being done here. And this thing will return none, meaning that there is no next position. See, if someone else implements their own backend, then they would have to, if we didn't have this check here, then we would have to do it in their buffer as well. But now the check is only required to be done in the paint context. So even if you have your own backend, you still can't use the paint context to paint outside. So it's the other way around. You would have to implement all these checks respectively for each backend, whereas now you don't have to. But everything else you added was good. So the only thing that I'm going to roll back is this check, because we already do this. But we can maybe make this public to the crate, so there is no way to actually call put or update for now. How's it going, Kabinja? So this will actually make it better. So then we don't need this test. And outside, which is on the screen. So we don't need this test either. So actually, we can leave this test, but we should make this thing... No, we can't do that. Yes, the canvas, but the canvas needs to be rewritten. You need to revert the screen test. It used to panic. That's what I was going for. So this thing should panic now. With an index out of bounds, yeah. So we are going to should panic, expect like so. But that is not right. All right, I don't remember the should panic. It will only panic if you go outside the bounds of the y-axis. Expected. There we go. I see what you mean, Skylar. The length is set to 1. We could do an assert instead. Not anymore, Dottie, given that it's private. I just had bacon and eggs. Yes and no. We're gonna change this. We're gonna change this. So we are not doing what we did before. We're gonna bring this back. And then we're gonna assert here instead. There we go. So we're going to keep your test, Dottie. We're just going to make this panic. We'll make this an assertion instead. Okay, so position out of bounds. Oh my god, this thing pissed me off sometimes so much. Right, so now we should have an error with a position out of bounds instead. So we are expecting position out of bounds for our screen test. So now this thing should pass. So we are actually keeping your code, Dodgy. We're just gonna have the same assertion for the range check. So then we don't need to do this check. So 0, 0 should be fine. 0, 1 should be fine. That one should not be fine. Okay. I think this is a good compromise. This way we are sticking to the assertions instead. So this will panic. It's a little bit like a vector more than anything. Okay. I'm glad we have that conversation. Should we maybe... let's see what else do we have. Hello, Don. How you going, buddy? Food was good, mate. It was good. I had to go to the shops to buy some food, though, which sucked a little. But other than that, food was good. What are you working on? I'm just going to close it down. There was too many broken tests. I'm like, no. It was good. Okay, so in that case... we're on the dev branch, so let's do a patch here. Besides, my mom's the spring chicken, right? I think you'd be spending your time more wisely elsewhere. What? Oh yeah, we just changed that to draw outside on the X coordinate to make sure that it fails. Panic on out of bounds for buffer rights. There we go. All right, good work, Dottie. That's good. You didn't miss anything, Scott. You missed us talking about breakfast. What's for breakfast, Don? What's for breakfast? There is that. You did miss me mewling. That is a very important thing to participate in. Eggs are good, man. Eggs are more eggs. Is it your own eggs? Did you lay them yourself? Is it your chicken? Do you have a chicken coop? Oh, this is gonna be beans. They're loud, aren't they? I hope they're not too close to the house. How's your missus about them? Just walking around, clucking and producing more than you eat? Eat more eggs. How many eggs do you get per day? I thought the chickens were or the hens were quite loud as well with the clucking and stuff, right? Get rid of insects and small snakes, but only in the confines of where they are, right? They're not going to come into the house and remove small snakes, right? 1 egg per chicken per day. How many chickens do you have? I'm trying to work out, like, how much work is to have? Because I eat a lot of eggs, right? I can eat 5 eggs a day. All right, yeah, I wouldn't eat a dozen. Do you, like, give them to neighbors or throw them at people? Easy to take care of. I gotta move into a city and then get chicken. Just one chicken. Chicken takeaway from Chicken Cottage. What do you do with them in the winter, Don? You get pretty snowed in up there, don't you? You throw food at them, they're happy. They're just like people. They're just like people. You throw food at them and they're happy. You guys and your chicken. They hunker down and survive. Are they the doomsday prepper chickens, right? They got little go bags, little knives, some flint, some steel, right? They know how to make fire without modern amenities. Bug out chickens. Okay. Yes, it is nice. Ping you later. Okay, cool. Shit, I forgot my phone again. And whose fault is that? All right. I guess there's no procrastinating. I have to get on with it. Expressions, here we are. All right. I think I'm going to combine that with making another cup of tea. Okay, so welcome to a boring stream where I will tearfully try to fix things and it's not going to work. That looks way too nice for a chicken coop, right? I have the space for it, but I don't have the heart to do that to my neighbors. Is it the evil horse that's to the left of there? Yeah, it's so done. You have to clean up after them because, like all animals, they can't do themselves, but that's not too big of a deal. How many times have you cleaned up after chicken, Skylar? Let's hear it. How many times have you cleaned up after chickens? I imagine that you kind of just take your Dyson out and you hoover where the chickens are. And you go, I'm like, shut up and get out of the hoover. Wow. Scoop out the inside of the coop. Couldn't you kind of just open one end and then pressure wash it from the other end, just flush everything out? So you take the chickens out and you're like, you stay there now. And then you get the pressure washer and just... A broom? Broom. I can't look at a broom without thinking about that. There you go. All right. Okie dokie. We are going to do this now. We're going to break scoping. We're going to break it all day to Sunday. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to be able to scope values. And we need to be able to access state values. The pain of having to do this. I think we're going to fix a few other bugs in the process of doing this, but this is going to be so painful. So bloody painful. The first thing we need to do is load up a scope with state. So how do we register a state? Now, I do believe that we have one scope per... No, we don't. I was going to say we have one scope per component, but we don't. We have a series of scopes per component unless we transfer a value into the scope through attributes. But then they have to be bound. So this means that any scoped value. Oh, this is gonna be so. I don't want to do this. This is gonna be so beans. Okay, where is the scope? Oh no, that changes the level. Okay, cool. Insert state. There we go. Okay, so this is so painful. All right, let's just start with it then, right? Each component should have access to only one state. Each component has access to attributes. Each component does this involve a pressure washer or a tractor of any kind? Use C. The problem would be the same in C though, because this is not a syntax problem. This is a recursive problem, I guess. I don't understand what that is. Well, inside each component, there can be nested states, e.g. for loops. I don't know what that means, Don. Progress is being made. Good work, Wiry. Good work. So if we have a for loop, maybe we could fix things. Maybe we can fix the global scopes. No, we can't. Global scopes are global. Any value that you declare anywhere is going to be hoisted up to the top. But could we get around that? So one thing you cannot do today, you can't say for x in y, for a in b, and then let thing equals loop. So loop is a magical variable which tracks the loop counter, right? So it's gonna go from 0 and onwards, right? It's not particularly interesting. However, this is just pointing to loop. So if you do this, if you were to print our thing, you're actually printing the loop value of this for loop because you're just referring to loop value. There is no scoping of this thing. This will be hoisted to here, and wherever this thing is accessed, it's gonna look up. It's gonna look for loop, and if we do something like text thing here, this will result in nothing because we don't have a loop at that point. And that kind of makes sense because it does, because it's pointing to loop. So there is no way of accessing an outer loop, basically. No, because values are reactive, Wairu, which is very different from what you expect from an average programming language. When thing changes, the widgets that are referring to thing will be evaluated in one way or another. So it's not really a case of referring to what thing ever was. You're always referring to what thing is when you look at them. I guess that's a simple way of looking at it with these reactive templates. You are looking at what something is, never at what something was. It would be nice if we could say what something was. When it was created. But that means scoping at runtime, not... Yeah, no, I think we're just not going to do that. There is another PR, by the way. That I didn't merge. Yeah, it's just moving the code from there to there. Looks good to me. If it's... Keep trying, Wairu. But if you feel like it's getting overwhelming or you feel like you want to chuck it out the window, it's okay. Remember that you don't actually have a commitment to do anything if you don't want to. If you want to program or work on something more fun, please feel free to do so. All right? I don't want anyone to work on this and feel miserable. I can have a look at your PR after this change and see if I can add any value. So we kind of have a change. We have a chance to make something different now. But that would mean that this thing becomes a scope value. This thing becomes something other than just a global definition. Is it a bad idea to fix this now, maybe? We would have to add declarations in there. Alternatively, with the functions, we could do something like that, and we wouldn't need the loop counter anymore. So then we don't need that, so we can fix that with functions maybe. But then again, we end up with a function that has access to write into the scope. So, right? Okay, so inside components, we can have more nested scopes. I think I'm going to try to make this work. The problem right now is going to be something like that. We have to transfer this state value into foo. No meow. We have to transfer the state value into foo, so this value still have to exist. So when we resolve a value, we can't, I was going to say, when we resolve a value, this is how complex this is. When we resolve a value, if the value comes from a local state, then we can just resolve it through the state dot prefix, right? But in this case, resolving attributes dot value needs to resolve outside of our state. So attributes are allowed to move up one state. Attributes are allowed access to external states. However, if we do state dot value, this should not be allowed to resolve to this. This should not be allowed to resolve to this, right? But this should. Okay, so I'm trying to define the rules here. Attributes are allowed to resolve outside of state. Globals and state are not. So we can resolve a global to an attribute, and then all of a sudden it is allowed to resolve outside to external state, right? But it's only allowed to resolve. Attributes are only allowed to resolve to external state one level up. Well, I'm not sure this will make good documentation, because I'm not sure this will make it. This will work, right? So attributes are only allowed to resolve to external state one level up unless they resolve to another attribute. Right? Attributes can resolve to any other unless actually an attribute can always resolve to external attributes or external state. So if we design a hierarchy that looks like this, right? We have our main, we have our child A, and we have our child B inside child A. So here, assuming main has a state with a field X. So here, this could be stated X. This is coming from main. This here, for this guy to get X, we would have to do attributes X. This would resolve this resolves to attributes X, which resolves to this attribute, which resolves this state, which resolves to main. So the way we can navigate backwards in the chain is by having attributes resolving either to attributes or to states. An attribute is never allowed to resolve to a state above it. And how the flip do we express this now? Okay, how do we do this? There are inner scopes inside a template. Like for loops are allowed to the scope. I do feel like this kind of solidifies it. Now we just have to figure out how to express this. So we're going to start working on a second scope now. Oh yeah. So let's see what our current scope has. How do we operate on scope? It just has a vector as a storage. So here's a funny old tidbit. If we might need a new data structure for this thing, but if we don't do it this way, then we're going to incur a cost. It might be very tempting to describe the scope as a set of nested structures, but then you end up constantly allocating and deallocating, and that's, we don't do that. All right. So this one actually describes the size of the scope. This one, as long as the API is sound, we can use this. The only difference we have to make, so it's either downgraded or pending or a state in there. So that's all we can actually scope. This should have all that we need already. So I think what we could do I think we can get rid of scope 2. Yeah. We just have to make sure that when we resolve, we can only move up and down so far. So in our... Okay, hang on. All right. Oh shit, what was it doing? That threw me. That threw me so much. Expressions. Don't grow a beard or a mustache. It's inconvenience. Here we go. Resolve. None of this will actually do a lookup until we get into idents territory, right? That seems to be correct. I think. So here is where lookups will happen. Damn. Right. So this should never happen then. There should never be an ident lookup. Eval values will never be pending here, as pending values are resolved by the scope lookup. This should probably be expressed with the type system instead, but since downgraded values are recursive, a wrapper won't do. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, one thing we can start expressing already. Hello, CP, how you doing? How you going, mate? So we could express this with our lookup. Actually, that's here. Scope lookup. Thank you so much for the sub, mate. Thank you so much. My far longest relationship ever. You just haven't met the right girl yet. How you doing, buddy? Attributes. Global. That's what we need. You better not say that. Should I not tell my wife that she hasn't met the right girl yet? Okay. So every time we do a scope lookup, we have to say what it is that we are looking up. Are we going for a state value, an attribute value, or a global value? Like that. So here, on an ident, we must know whether this ident belongs to that or not, right? Attributes are passed into components. States is owned by components. Global values are declared inside components. Oh. This file. This notorious file. Doing something wrong in this file is basically introduces bugs everywhere. Can't global variables be declared in parent components? Yeah, globals are globals. But that's not... That global is sort of the least of our concern now. Attributes and state lookup is the biggest of our concern. I do have a lot of tests, are they? I don't know what programming gloves are. Is it like... Are these programming gloves? Best gloves for programmers and developers. Isn't this a sock that someone cut a hole in? What? Anyway. No, Christopher, it's not a thing. But you can make your own if you cut holes in a sock, apparently. So to do a lookup, we need to... oh, man. I'm going to have to rework all of this. And the thing that is the most painful in this entire thing is this. If you want to break your brain, you will try to understand this code. This is probably the worst thing in this entire code base. This block in here. This is where fun comes to die. You tried at least 5 times already? Yeah. There's so much going on here. We're storing values so we can propagate change, and we're storing... it's just no. Hello, Orts. I don't think people refer to anything as programming gloves. I think it's just people being silly. Okay, but now we're changing this a little bit. So before we call lookup, when we resolve an ident, first of all, we shouldn't be able to resolve an ident here. The only valid ident at this point in the root should be the one that dictates what... But that is also not true. That is also not true because we could be resolving a local scoped value. Right, so we have locally scoped values. This doesn't have a prefix. So yes, we can resolve idents. Okay, so what we will do in terms of our kind, we will specify the kind here. So this will be a locally scoped value. Oh no, kind is the first argument, not the last one. No, globals have to be referred to the global keyword. So we have globals, locals, attributes, and state. Otherwise, you could arguably name a global state. Although that nothing prevents you from doing that with a for loop. So that doesn't help, actually. Oh, beans. Sorry, bean juice. It took me a second. What do you mean, what? And oh, sorry. Okay, there is no harm in referring to globals through the global keyword, but if we're gonna start off with we're gonna start off with we should probably make it an error to call values global, local, state, and what have you. There are so many things to unpack here. Well, it's not just me. This is a very complex issue, right? We're talking about variables and values here. No, I don't have a thought process that I can describe in any kind of drawing. The act of drawing it up would just be annoying. Okay. So we have local, global, state, and attribute. These are different ways to access values. So this is about value resolution, right? We have to identify where the value comes from, but one value can resolve to another value, right? So you can have a local value that comes from an attribute that comes from a state. That comes, well, no, once you hit the state, that's the end of the line. But an attribute can refer to a global or a state. You feeling the gatekeeping creeping on. But I'm trying to explain it. Right? All right, ponder this situation, if you will, right? We have a state value called a list, right? And then inside some component, we're going to have a list that is pointing to this state list, right? Now, inside this component, we are going to have another component, okay? That's going to have an attribute called list that is pointing to attributes.list. So this attributes list here is pointing to this thing, which is pointing to this thing. So now we have a list in here. And then inside here, we can say for item in list, text item, right? So this item is a local value that is scoped inside this for loop that is pointing to... Actually, this is an attribute list. Or attribute list. I don't know if we're going to go plural or not, right? Okay, where was I? So this attribute, the attribute. So this item is pointing to this list, which is pointing to this list, which is this list, which is pointing to state. So we're kind of jumping through various paths to get there. If we make globals not refer to what is, oh my God. There's an even bigger issue there. Oh my goodness. This is such a big issue. This is such a big issue. We are introducing limitations. So one of the limitations is that you have to refer to it by its prefix. So you cannot refer to just list, even though technically there is no reason not to. Today, you can refer to it as a list and it will resolve correctly. But then we can't combine the attributes with the states. And we do want the attributes. Why are we doing this again? Well, there's also a bug that will be resolved through doing this. Yes, enums. Thank you, Skylar. I remember now. Enums and unnamed structs, right? Tuple structs, sorry. So tuple structs will allow us to access values as well. They'll be fine. And enums. Very difficult issue. So even more so, I don't know if we're gonna fix globals now or never. Well, no, the rule is you're referring to what is, not what was. So if you say that a global value list is equal to state list, then technically this list should not be resolving correctly outside of globals. unless we introduce globals as a declaration that exists within the tree, but that means evaluating the declaration like a widget, which means that a node in the tree is effectively allowed to modify scope. And that's just insane. So now the resolve function, which is called somewhere here. Here. This would have to pass in lookup kind local. I'm gonna show you this, and then I'm gonna show you how we break this. Yay for being consistent. Okay, is that it? Except collection, of course. Done. Okay. So now we specify the lookup kind. So this means that if we end up here, and the left-hand side is state. Somewhere the left-hand side has to become an ident. So here, maybe this should be part of the parsing then. No. Doesn't seem right, does it? Doesn't seem right, does it? A lot of it can be done at compilation time, and a lot of it can be done at runtime. The more we do at runtime, the more flexibility we have. The more we do at compilation time, the more performance we get, right? Some of these are trade-offs. They're all trade-offs. Is there any value in making an expression specifically a state expression? So where all this becomes incredibly complicated is when we scope things far down that refers to maps within maps within maps, right? I think I showed an example of this somewhere. No. Why do I have so much gunk in here? Oh, man. Come on. Why is there still iced in there? No, it isn't. Maybe I don't have that anymore. It's as simple as that then. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We have to answer that question first. Do we specify this as part of the template compilation step, right? When we parse and evaluate templates, do we then create a unique expression for a state lookup? What's the pros and cons? That we know instantly whether something is a state lookup or not. But the underlying issue there is that something might be a state lookup regardless, because it might be pointing to a local variable bound to some state lookup. And even worse is that we can have local variables or global variables that are a mixture of state A, globals B, and attributes C, right? No? Don't wanna check a little bracket in there? There you go. So this will end up doing lookups across the board into state, globals, and attributes. So in this case, there is no value at parsing anything. Instead, we're just going to start the lookup process. And a part of me wants to resolve that. We need to have internal and external functions. That's a different issue. Hello, Grassam. How you going, mate? No. That doesn't help anything. All right, forget that. I'm trying to pull my brain in different directions. come on. The last thing before we merge this with main. So no prefix means local. Okay, you know what? Let's just see this through then. Let's just try this out. So we're starting off with our eval function that's doing any value resolution is going to be qualified as a local value. You gotta do a big project? Well, I have no idea what kind of projects you're interested in, so that's hard to say. A user interface library. Now that's something that will keep you happy and motivated, maybe. Okay, let's try this out. So we're gonna resolve with local as our lookup kind. That would be correct, Waru. And we're only allowed to go one level up in terms of scoping. That has to be expressed somehow. But we can also scope things into, this is what's driving me crazy. We can scope things with for loops from a state, having a local variables inserted into another component. Yes, for loops create scopes. That's an internal scope. Although this terminology is probably nothing more than confusing at this point. I don't think so. A mobile app, something like the cybersecurity. Why don't you do some actually, I don't know. I'm not going to suggest bad ideas if I can help it. You can go up maximum one scope outside of your... No, let's say you can go up maximum one scope. But here's another issue. We don't know. Because there's no root, right? When... Let's see if I had some scribbles up here somewhere, so I don't do that. No, colder in the other tab. So imagine that we did something like this, right? We create a local or global value. That's a map, right? And as part of this map will now be accessed like this, global.map, okay? And if we have A in here, right? This will resolve to 1 to 3. However, we only know that we should be looking into globals because we're referring to this as global, right? So we can't look at this thing and go, okay, global, so it has to be a global lookup. Or rather, we can't look at the left-hand side of a lookup because you can do this. So now we have global.state. Right? So if... We just can't look at it, right? We could say, and I don't even know if we need to look at this, I don't even know if we need to look at this. So this would indicate that we're looking at the global scope. So anything from here on out, we're trying to do a lookup of global. So while we are looking in local, because you can end up doing this. So here we're still looking at the local scope, right? But the moment we run into global or state, we are changing. Or attributes. The moment we make internals public, we're kind of responsible for not breaking. So when you make things public and you change things, then you are effectively breaking the API. No, see, that's one thing we're never gonna do, Wire. We're never gonna have our templates because of its dynamic nature. It would make no sense, right? Would I recommend C++ or Rust, not Python JS, please, to write backend batch job processor? I can't recommend anything to anyone that I don't know. I mean, what's the reason you want to pick C++ or Rust, Manoj? And don't trust anyone recommending anything to you without talking to you first, okay? Okay. But what if they're specifically doing some batch processing where the libraries are only available in Rust, Grassham? See, we can't really even have this conversation because we have no information. It's like saying, I'm going to start a new project. What language should I use? And then I don't give you any more information. Good luck giving a good recommendation then, right? How do you feel betrayed, Bean Juice? Do you not feel like you have an insane amount of leeway and that you most likely would have been banned from half of the Twitch streams out there, right? If you would have done this there. But that's you're making assumptions about what problems they will encounter, but we're talking about a program that no one knows what it does. So how can we talk about what problems they will encounter, right? Looking to write some backend jobs to load data into a NoSQL store. I know Java is good, but I suppose Python Java has good APIs for it. Well, you said Node.js, Manoj. So are you meaning Node.js or no Java, right? That is funny. When Node.js is a runtime, so no, whether it's Node.js or some other runtime is probably not relevant. I mean, we're not even at that point yet where we're determining what's being done. So, okay. So if you want to load data into a database, the question is, what other criteria do you have, right? Is this a one-off job that you're going to write once, run once, and then throw it away? Is this thing going to run on a daily basis? Is the amount of data you're dealing with large? Is this very sensitive data? There are a lot of questions that has to be answered before anyone can say anything. And then more importantly, what is your programming experience, right? Are you really good at certain languages already? Are you looking to use this as an exercise to learn a new language? What's the goal? There are so many questions around this thing. So I don't think that anyone can give you a good answer until we have more information, right? So what is your end goal, right? Please fill out this form. Yeah, but if we're gonna give someone recommendations, right? It's like saying, what car should I buy? And be like, oh, buy this Tesla car, which no one should buy. Buy a Tesla, and they'd be like, okay, and then they live out in the middle of the woods, right, far away from electricity, and be like, my car won't go forward anymore. Why is this happening to me? This was the recommended car for me, right? Suck in tutorial hell, man. It's a real place. That's why you gave them a free bike with a Tesla. I have a set of CSVs, Excel, which I need to parse, map, and generate JSON files to load into the database. It's for me to pick up a new language. Since I'm familiar with loading, parsing data in Java, it feels the use case would be easier. Okay, so if you're doing this because you want to pick up a new language, now we're actually getting somewhere. What language would you like to learn, Manoj? What's the language that you are most interested in learning right now? Hello, Tanaka. How you doing, buddy? Why is that language Rust? Well, it's not about a fit at this point. It's about a desire to learn. It's about what do you want to get out of a language? What is it that you want to learn, right? So assuming that you want to do something more with the language once you manage to feed some data into a SQL database, where do you want to take that language, right? Why is it Gleam? Okay. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Why? Why? Okay. That was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. I'm a backend programmer, as in low data, parse files, move stuff here and there, essentially data processing. I was trying to understand if Rust C++ would give me some performance benefits over your Java. So, okay. What we can talk about in that case, Manoj, is like this, right? A programming language can be very much like a race car. If you don't know how to drive it, it's not going to give you that performance that you've heard so much about, right? And the same is true for both Rust and C++. Now, I do suspect that it's easier to get higher performance early on from Rust than it is from C++, but that's more of a gut feeling than actual empirical evidence, right? I think that there are a lot of resources out there to learn both, and I think both are probably decent languages for whatever, right? Me personally, I would pick Rust for obvious reasons, right? I've made that choice already. I have no interest in learning C++. I believe that Rust has a lot fewer footguns than C++. I think that's reasonably sound to assume, right? I think anyone who's a hardcore C++ fan, I don't think they would disagree with me, right? But Rust is harder to learn than Java, absolutely. So it has a higher barrier of entry. You might be able to start to do more things quicker with C++, but there seem to be so many arcane rules you have to know to not end up in undefined behavior. But then it's a question, do you care about undefined behavior? Does Rust do memory management out of the box? Yes, it does, right? So it doesn't have a garbage collector like Java does. But it also doesn't make you allocate and free your memory like C++ does. Instead, Rust operates with lifetimes and lifetime annotations. So when you allocate something and that value goes out of scope, the memory is freed. And you can drop it beforehand if you want to, right? But in C, you would malloc and free. Right? You would malloc to get your memory and free to free the memory. In Rust, you will initialize your data, or resource acquisition is initialization, right? By instantiating a value, you have now already allocated memory for this thing, whether it's on the stack or the heap. And when this value goes out of scope, the memory is freed, right? So you don't have a garbage collector that's running. There is no stuttering of a runtime or anything like that, right? You're running this thing without a runtime, right? This is true, but in their case, carry on, they specifically say up here that they don't want Python or JavaScript. So I'm not going to recommend Python or JavaScript for someone who doesn't want that. But you totally can do that, right? Like, I mean, the reason Python is slow is because people call Python with Python, right? It's not slow if you call into the underlying C libraries. But the point is moot, right? You're not going to use Python for, the performance, right? So if you want to clock up your performance going from Java, then yeah, you probably have to go into Rust. But I would say so, Manoj. But again, Java is not bad when it comes to performance. There is a chance that you're going to have to go pretty far before you start to see notable performance benefits. So writing your average program might not show a significant performance boost, if any. But when you get into certain areas where you can do things like take advantage of certain CPU instructions or maybe auto vectorization, where you could do multi-threading and use up more cores. There's a lot of things you can do that might be harder to express in other languages, though, right? That's when you can start to see the benefit. Yes, low code is slow, right? And when you get into async stuff, I don't know if async Rust is gonna be so miles ahead of async Java, right? But I don't know. But to give yourself more tools, then absolutely give Rust a whirl. If you feel like you got a good grasp of programming languages, then the barrier of entry is not going to be that bad. Money. Let's get back into this thing. So how do we know if we're operating on a global value or not? So good, Manoj. How do we know if we're operating on a global value or not? Well, the left-hand side of our first index lookup will be... then I recommend starting here. The left-hand side will be an ident where the value is either global, state, or attribute. One of these. I think the issue with assembly, as far as I'm concerned, is the lack of portability, even though it's not. But there's also an insane amount of instructions. So not only do you have to know the language and the syntax, but you also have to know the CPU. There's a lot of documentation around assembly, though. Okay, so here we go, right? If we do a lookup and we have an index here, we can instantly look at the left-hand side here. It's a funny take on it being used, but I don't agree with it because that would only be applicable if you're only going to write one program once. But when the goal is to learn more programming languages, it doesn't quite hold up. So in the event that the left-hand side this completely throws all this as well. I'm gonna go and put the kettle on. I need to make some tea. This is just no. Thank you for the follow. All right, so waiting for the kettle to boil. I don't want to rewrite this thing. It's such a complete head this thing. Right, there's the kettle. All right, a minute and a half. Okay, so do we just rewrite this whole thing then? Because look at this thing. This is just crazy. No one understands what this does. Why are we storing the right-hand side value, for instance? Right. This, I mean, I know why, but no one else can understand why we're doing this. Come on, tea. Brew for me. All right, 30 seconds. Then we have some tea. I don't think we have good test cases for this, so we should probably do that. Tea does solve a lot of problems. Okay, let's go and get some tea. Okay, here we go. Right, what if we rewrote this entire thing? What would that be like? A lot of crying, maybe? Why are the rules so bloody hard for this? That is what I want to know. Boop. All gone. Do we even want a lookup kind? I don't think so. That is weird, Wire. I'm sorry, that is weird. That's it. We've reduced everything. I wouldn't even know where to start, Wairu, with that. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna write this down into somewhere. We're gonna do this. New value resolution. Fine. Did I break dev now? Did I break dev? Something dumbass, isn't it? Jeepers. Come on. Okay. Bam. Of course. Right. Yeah, it is. Righty tighty then. Let's see. Should we start with scoping then? So how can we do new types of values? Let's make a new project. Let's build this up. Yeah, come in. Okay, there we go. Hello, W20. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know that. Okay, so we're supposed to look something up inside our scope, right? So let's have a scope here. Yeah, if you like C++, there's no harm in that, right? You gotta like what you like. Should we just say the values are strings? No, values cannot be strings, can they? What is a value? It's an entry that we store, which is either a path or some other bullshit. Okay. Thanks, I guess. So it's compatible with Vim and NeoVim. If I can't use NeoVim tomorrow, it'll be no problem for me. I just swap to Vim and I won't notice any difference other than the LSP. So what values are we actually able to scope then? It really is just for loops, right? That we scope by a key. So this can be a static string. Hello, Omega. How you doing? Right, so then the question is what value we're scoping as well. Hello, Felix. How you going? So we have both pending and downgraded values here. We could theoretically get rid of the pending value and just have downgraded, I think. If we took pending out. Or can we not? The hell? Oh yeah. Ah, right. This is coming straight from the value, so it's only eval values that can be downgraded. All right, cool beans. Thanks for nothing. Better not have that in our history. Okay, so not that then. Okay. Is it worth making this change? Yes, because we need to get those freaking enums and stuff in there. Should we just start with state then? But then we're collapsing attributes with global scope. Maybe we don't distinguish between globals and local values then. Ah, fuck. Yeah. Hi. How you doing? Are you enjoying the stream so far? Now, if you find yourself with a significant amount of spare time and you want a challenge, you've come to the right place. Please clone the anathema repository and fix this bug for me, please. Thank you kindly. Podcast a bit. Hey, Londo, thank you so much. How you doing? Good time to join the stream. It's always a good time to join the stream. How's things evolving, London? Not really, Scott. Nah, not so much, Temporis. I chat with Ekton now and then, but we're both very busy, so it's not really, there's not a lot happening. And sometimes when we're chatting, I feel like we're not even talking to each other. It's like, you know. Hello, Minxie, how you going? I kind of want to do it again. I did enjoy making the podcast. It was quite fun, and it wasn't too much in terms of editing, but it is work. Absolutely. Tired, but okay. Hopefully from some interesting activities like fishing or walking. I don't know. Doing all right. What am I trying to do? Start the mod prog show? I don't know, man. But it would be, I wouldn't mind streaming with other people. I just need to set something up for it, right? Flop everything up seems about right. Now, so what am I trying to do? I'm trying to, let me see if I can explain this without taking 5 years, okay? Get TTS for Museum? Nah. I think if Museum wanted to have a voice, they would have given themselves a voice. I can only speculate why they don't use a microphone. Maybe his voice like this.
Welcome to my stream. How can I eat you?
And that's why they don't use a microphone. But either way, Felix, to answer your question, voices are cringe. Yeah, we don't need to hear people. Here's some sign language, right? Anyway, yes, Felix. Prefix the state value with the word state. So any access to a state value in the template has to be prefixed with the word state. That's the long and short of it. But that has a lot of other implications and attributes as well. Just use telepathy. I don't know, man. Telepathy is cringe. You always say more than you want to. Dr. Claw. Possibly. But he does have music on. And also I think like that if that's what people really wanted, then that's what everyone would do, right? But I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate into why someone is doing something. They probably, maybe they're shy and they don't want to talk, right? Maybe that's it. It's another streamer. My head is in the shed. Get your head out of the shed and into the gutter. What happens if you don't prefix it? Then we can't have enums or tuple structs as state. My mind's always in the gutter, yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want music. Okay, so this isn't a problem that's going to solve itself. Unfortunately. And the complexity of what we're trying to do is certainly there. Because this thing touches on so many different aspects of it. This is literally the most complex thing but because you can't, well, forget enums, just think about tuple structs. How can you refer to a field in a tuple without having a way to first identify that you want to access the tuple, right? So right now, the state has no prefix. So if you have a state with two fields, name and age, then you just type age or name in your template and you get those values. That's because you have named fields on the struct. If you don't have named fields, as in a tuple struct, then how do you refer to the first and the second one? You can't just type bracket 0, close bracket, or dot 0 or whatever, because it doesn't make any sense, right? But I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know how to express this. I don't know how to fix this. For those of you who are interested in what we're actually doing, let me see if we fix this now. Yeah, cool. All right. So because I have absolutely zero interest in walking through the complexities of this thing, and you really have to know what we're doing for this to make any sense, and I don't want to explain this because it takes too long. It's too hard to explain this, but this thing starts here for anyone who's actually interested in sinking the teeth into this. It starts at this function, and for this to make any sense to anyone, you have to be able to understand what is actually happening here, what any of this stuff does. Right? Without understanding this, then it's not going to make any sense to even talk about it because there's too much stuff going on, right? How are they evolving? Hopefully in a good way, London. So this is probably where I just quit and walk away, and then we burn this project to the ground, right? But we can't do that because that would be bad. Oh, really? You got a new gig already? That was quick. That's very nice. Oh, man. I don't think I can even make... Hello, I'm here. How you doing? I don't think I can even make a small project trying to solve this problem because it has its tendrils everywhere in everything. Wow, that's not bad, Londo. Good moves. You must have been flexing pretty hard at them, right? What are you going to be doing? Okay. Lead.net developer. Nice. Well done. Well done. Congrats. Since you're the lead, you can start sneaking Rust in there. No one will be any wiser. I love being in that position, but only for smaller teams. I don't like large teams because I'm very... I want to know what is happening with every individual. And I'm not talking about micromanagement. I want to know what their state is, what they're working on, and how they're doing. I like the part where you're kind of you're building a good cohesive group and everything. I like that part. That's a perfect size, Londo. That's a good size. Well, the important thing to know, the best advice I can give you, I think, and you probably already know this, but I'm going to say this anyway. Just because you're the lead developer doesn't mean that you always have to know everything and always be right. You're there to lead. There might be developers who are way more skilled than you. They're just not suitable to lead. Just keep that in mind, right? Otherwise, we risk our ego getting in the way. I remember working in one place and they introduced me as the expert, and I was very uncomfortable with that label, especially since I never claimed to be an expert. And like, oh shit, man. And there I was surrounded by math nerds. And like, yeah, I'm the expert. Sure. Numbers! They go past 4 sometimes. No, I think Temporis, this is why I don't explain the problem either, because it stems from here, right? No, Caleb, they don't go past 1, okay? Don't believe it. That's a nice theme you have. Very pleasant. RHS and LHS are common names for left-hand side and right-hand side values when you're talking about expressions. Yeah, that's fair enough, Scott. People have tried to promote me into various roles as well, but I just want to write code. I'm happiest when I write code. Let me write. Do you not see how happy I am right now? I'm happiest when I write codes. That's what I want to do. I'm not interested in success, financial success through grinding for some other company. I think, Felix, you don't worry about it. You really have to understand this horrible problem. I'm saying this for your own sanity. There is no solution to this that involves a simple change. That I can put it like that, right? You start pulling in one of these threads and the whole damn thing's gonna collapse, right? I don't know. Programming C++ in NeoVim is probably as fun as programming C++ in the Notepad, right? It's all good, right? Oh, distract me with your noise, people, please. This is such a pain. I want to use a lot of curse words to this, right? No LSP support? Really? I don't buy that. Don't worry about it. Honestly, listen, people, I don't expect any of you to understand what this does. And that's not because you're not smart enough. That's because this thing is a freaking code nightmare, okay? This is the most deceptive file in the whole project. It looks like it should be fairly straightforward what's going on here, but it is not. This thing is touching things that go so far into the depths of hell that you will not find your way out if you go looking, okay? something as innocuous as assigning the right-hand side here has massive implications. There's little to no sanity in here, okay? Do not go looking. You will perish. All right. I have nothing else to switch to. The one file to break it all, absolutely. This whole thing, the day I came up with the idea of making everything either an ident or an index, felt like a stroke of genius. But it's the kind of genius when you realize that you've suddenly murdered half the population of the universe, right? You've Thanos the whole thing. You'd be like, wow, that's really smart. And then afterward you think, shit, should I have done that? Was that a good idea? What is actually happening? It just looks so deceptive. Like, yeah, this should be simple, but it really isn't. Okay? It isn't. Welcome back, Kenny. Don't do that to yourself, Felix. This is not me trying to goad you guys into like, yeah, you say it's so tough, we can do it. No, this is not that. This is like saying, I bet you can't put 5,000 fire ants in your mouth, right? Would you do that? You shouldn't, okay? Oh, okay. That's just No, RJ, no. No, that is what I'm specifically not doing. There are interesting programming challenges that are interesting because of their nature. Then there are programming challenges that are challenging because they are tedious. This is one of those. This is a tedium, not an intellectual challenge. It's more a challenge in understanding the limits of your own patience. And that's rarely a challenge anyone enjoys. I wish I could nerd snipe people into this thing, but the thing is, I am intentionally at this point withholding information around this as well. I'm not telling you guys exactly what we're doing. Those of you who were here from the start, you know, but I'm not going to get into it again. I just don't want anyone to suffer unnecessarily. See, that's why. If I don't tell you the whole thing, then I can't rope anyone in to do it, right? I like suffering. Well, Keeney, welcome. Let me DM you what we're doing here, and then you can have the pain. You can have the pain. Okay, so maybe we need to rewrite this from scratch. All right. And I don't think doing this is gonna be the solution. You rewrite just dropped? No. No. For those of you who noticed, we actually went down a version, not up a version the other day. We went down to 0.2. I don't know where it was set to 0.3, but 0.2 was never released, so. Okay, now let's look at scoping values. Maybe that's where we should start. Semver's fine. Okay, so here we're gonna scope some binding to what? All right, so so this is the collection doing the scope, and then here we will unpack everything. So we're scoping, we're downgrading values from here. That makes sense. So these are expressions. Actually, they're not expressions. These are values. How do we get an index collection? Oh, right. Oh, because a collection can contain collections. Oh, fuck me. We don't even know what we're scoping at this point. No, this truly is the nightmare. So why would this would be a state lookup which returns an option none. Oh, gross. All right, never mind. So does this mean we have to know if the value belongs to the state? What the fuck do we need here? Sorry for cursing. I don't even know where to start, and I've wrote this thing. Okay. Oh, we're out of tea already. I'm trying not to be too rough when it comes to my language, but I feel like I'm gonna start missing out soon. Yeah. Watershed, yeah. I don't think this would have been doable in any language. Any easier. I don't think this would have been any easier in any other language. Because the problem isn't syntactical. The problem is complexity. The complexity is way beyond what any one person can keep in their mind, right? So we're talking about values being scoped, and we're talking about resolving scoped values. Although technically, values being scoped is a different thing. So this is about looking up values. So maybe, like when we scope this value, for instance, when we scope this, we need to know where we are in the scope. Well, Disney is certainly the Dark Lord himself, right? Belial or whatever. If you look at what they've done to Star Wars and the such. So this already means that we have built up the scope up until this point. Okay. Maybe this isn't so bad after all, because scope-wise, we already have the levels that we need. So then it's going to be down to the lookup. So how can we say... Oh yeah, there we go. This is what we want. It was so bad after all. Yeah. See, here, it's not a problem because we're doing a lookup. I guess when we're scoping the state value, that's when we have to annotate this. So there is something to the scoping. So here we would scope this directly to X. Then here we would scope this to the global value Y, which will then do a lookup of that. So yeah. Okay. Forgot my phone again. Hello, Bojika. Nope, because this isn't even remotely done. I can't show anything. I mean, I can show you this, but that's all I can show you. This truly isn't an interesting problem. This is just pain and suffering, nothing else. So when we create these values, then maybe that's where, but we wouldn't scope them under the state umbrella. TDD isn't that relevant for everything. When you have a strong type system, it's less relevant. If you're working with dynamic languages like Python and such, then it becomes more relevant, where the type system is basically chewing gum. Then the tests are very important to make sure that you're actually passing the right types of data and such around as well. But it has its merits. I don't practice TDD. I don't find it particularly fun. But it's not breaking, Felix. This will do nothing. You run this thing and it's just gonna say nothing here because the values aren't there. If I get rid of the global prefix, the values will come back, right? So if I just change this to X, then X is 0, right? That's because we have X inside the state. We do this. What's the... No, it's set to normal. Okay, never mind then. So right now, okay, I can explain this much. Right now, we have no way of differentiating between X, the global value, and X, the state value. I'm alright, I'll unhide it then. We have no means of differentiating between these things. So if I say that X is X, right? I don't know if we're looking at the mouse coordinate or if we're looking at the global values. For some reason, this thing is insanely slow. And I have no idea why. So we have probably... Come on, man. This probably is a result of future value lookup. So if we disable that... Yeah. So we just keep doing something. There's something that needs to be updated there, right? But we have no means of dictating whether we are using the X value from here or the X value from the state, right? So the state value is going to take precedence over the global value, and that makes sense. But I'd rather have neither. I don't want there to be one or the other, right? We differentiate between these two with prefix. No, I see what I expect, Felix. I want to differentiate between these two. So there is no X. There is either state X or global X. Yeah, so this one makes things even more... Although maybe not. What happens if we make a map inside a list? Is that fine now? Yeah, that's fine. I don't know why that wouldn't have been fine. It's fine. Fuck. But the problem is implementing this. The problem is making what we have stop behaving like it does and behaving like this should have it behaving. Global variables are static in Rust. You can have global constants as well, Manoj. You can think of static values as a static piece of something. When you use a static value, you can think of it as a pointer to a location, a specific location in memory. Where you use constants, you can think of it as you're copy and pasting the value everywhere you use the constant, right? Come in. Please close the door. Thank you. Go on then. Hello, C3. Hello, Argus. Okay, so we have two areas where this may or may not have an effect. When we scope values and when we look up values. There are going to be different rules for different values. Are there? Yes, attributes are allowed to look up state and attribute. State is only allowed to look up state one level on the same level. Let's add that to the list. So if we do a state lookup, that can only happen at the same level as the reference to this verbs. State lookup is only allowed to happen at the same level as the reference to the state. So in other words, if you have an attribute that points to a state, that's how you have to get through it. You cannot go from one state to another state. You cannot go from Can we do this part before we prefix things? No, because attributes aren't scoped. Although technically they could be. Maybe that's the first thing we do. Thank you. So here, instead of using state here, we're going to get rid of this state. And this will be collapsed into attributes instead. So what we refer to as states on, let's see what this is being used now. Here. So that's going to be our attributes instead. So let's see where this thing is actually used then. Maybe we can do a quick fix here. And what do we do with said external state? Oh, get the flip out of here. Okay. It's never straightforward, is it? All right. So this thing's going to go to a different state now, a different external state, which is being used in... No. Jump to the next one. There we go. Thank you. This could be the attributes then. Yes. Okay, so let's try this first. We don't see the attributes in here, do we? But we don't have to because they are associated with something else. So technically... That's some... My soul is fine, thank you. Expose attributes to the template as state. Or rather, since that's going to change, we're not going to do that. Now we need to get hold of attributes, which we have here. And we already loaded up the attributes. Is this the only place we're doing this now? It would look like that's the case. No. We're doing this as well. So we have to do it here as well. So do we scope this under attributes? Maybe that's how we have to do it. If it's only the for loop that can cause issues, it's not really an issue then. We don't have to make the distinction between local and global scope for now. Maybe not. But we can make attributes happen. And the key that we're scoping with here, this could literally be... This could be an attribute instead. So this will always be downgraded values. Is that right? No, Doddy. But I think chat's about the whole vault about my soul, which makes me a little bit concerned. Anywho. Okay, so this is scoping. So instead of referring to the component's external state here, we want to get a hold of the attributes. Which, of course, we don't have. Okay. Because they are stored elsewhere. In L3, they are stored elsewhere. So what we do need to get here is the... Oh my god. Okay. Pathfinder has... Pathfinder has attributes. So we could get the attributes here. That's gonna be attribute storage. Get by node.id. Is that... Oh no, hang on. We have it on the context. Hang on. We have it on the context. Shit. We do need to scope the values there, though. Now, does this thing have a means to... No, it doesn't. No. So attribute storage needs to get by the widget ID. So we need the widget ID for the node. The node is a widget kind, which doesn't have a widget ID. It's only the element that has the ID. Or the component. Nope. Doesn't have the ID either. Although we could store that with the component. So that's not a... You know what? Why bother? Why not just store the attributes directly on... Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Why don't we just store the attributes directly on the... on the component? They are different, but we are making some subtle changes with that. Because we are doing this in the runtime on the events. There is something here where we're checking the attributes. I've got to say, you sound like an AI right now, Lexi. Okay, so somewhere with the tabbing, we are reading the events. So the tab index needs to be stored somewhere. No, it doesn't. I thought we had that here. No, it's when we try to fetch by attribute. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. That's what it is. Okay, so then I know where this thing is. It's not on queries. It is here. Get external. Or external get. It's not in here. There it is. How you doing, Anmal? So here we have get external that's using external state. This should probably use the attributes instead. So this is getting values out. Okay. But then we have the filter. Oh, right. Yes. Set focus. This is it. This is the other one. Focus Q push. So we need to know what it is that we're setting focus on. So we're passing a key and a value, and then we can look through the attributes on the focus queue, which takes us back to the runtime again. Somewhere, please. Really? Is this never used? No, this is in librs. The focus queue is used in here, is it not? Yeah, there you go, right? But it doesn't seem to be drained anywhere. Where is this? Okay, so it's happening in the event state. Okay. Okay. So this is asking the attribute storage. When we could, in fact, just go straight to the component, couldn't we? Okay, I can see how we can rewrite this so the attributes are just part of the template. Question is, do we do that before or after this work? Do we scope them under a different name? The problem is, even if we scope them under a different name, we still have to scope the same type of values, the same downgrade or pending values. And future values, that was a hot mess. That slowed down the runtime something fierce. I don't know why. So where is stored on this component? The external state. We could definitely just store the attributes in here. We could literally just rename these attributes and it would make no difference. I don't think so. So here we're looking at the attributes when we could just as well be asking the external state for the value, right? So we can say let sum state equals that else. Ooh, that was an interesting one. No, it wasn't. And then instead of doing this, we can do state dot get. There's no get function on state though. That's supposed to be a key, and what is this thing? That's all really we have to do. And then we can get rid of the attributes here. And that's going to be an eval value, so we don't care about the first one. That will become a common value. And what is value here? Value is going to be a common val. So we just have to translate this into a common val and we're fine. Future values are values that don't exist yet. And we are keeping them around because they might exist in the future. So if you think about the state as a map and you remove a key from the map, then the value could exist in the future. Or what if the value never existed in the map in the first place, but after a while we add the value in, then we have to start resolving that. So the future values thing could be a bit shit really, and might have to be changed. All right, so we need to have a common value out of our value. Whoa. Really? That's it? Yeah, so these are values that might exist in the future. Okay, so we could just rename external state into attributes and be done with it. Then we don't need this anymore. Okay. This gets us around having to differentiate between attributes and external state. So we'll do this change first. This is going to be a bit of a scary change, but we're going to do it. Then on widgets, component eval. So here we have external state. We're going to rename this thing to attributes. Going to change that. We do have attributes here. We don't have these anymore. Internal state stays the same. This is a pretty big change though. Yeah. We're naming the attributes now. Then why not do that? Why would we have a hash map with an expression? I don't think we want that. Fuck. Thank you for the cheer, lad. Thank you so much. I can spell. I promise. So we call this external state. That's just a small map. Our future values kept a null until they're popular data. Thank you so much for the cheer, Pepper. Thank you so much. Spelling is overrated. Future values are kept a null until they're popular with data. Yes, or they are kept in a future bank, right? So we store the values in some storage for future values, and every frame we see if they've been resolved. All my money is in the future value bank. That might not be advisable though, but thank you so much for the cheer. Okay. What do you want from me? Why is this different? Thank you guys for the scam train. Thank you so much for the scam train. This pain is scam train. Thank you again, Alan. Thank you, Londo. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Pepper. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much, Pepper. One streamer got offended when I called it a scam train. So the first time I heard the scam train, it was Out9 that said that. I do wonder where she is these days. It was Out9 that said that, and I didn't get offended, but I felt like a jolt of guilt, as if I was somehow responsible for the scam train, like for the scam part of it. Now these days we just blame Jeff, but still, I was like, what? So I don't think you should be offended by it, but I can understand if some streamers felt like they were blamed for it being a scam train, and it's just something people jovially call a scam train. But there you go. Humans be difficult. Can't be too serious, no. Okay, so we're solving a different issue here. Look at that. Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you so much, Dawn. I want to be scammed too. Look at him go. The fact is that you actually recorded that is pretty good. So at one point you set that up and recorded that. That's pretty good. Did I click your link? What link are you talking about? Scam me. Thank you guys for the scam train. Thank you so much. Scam me, daddy.
Scam me, daddy.
All right. Thank you so much. We're level 1 scam. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the scams, guys. It's very nice. Appreciate that. Much obliged. Oh, scam again. The scam that never ended. Thank you so much for the scam. I don't know who, is this like your sister or something? Right? Sorry. Thank you so much for the scam train. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Did you know that it's September and scams are 30% off? That's what they should call it. Wouldn't it be fun if Twitch actually changed this to scam train? Right? What? Oh, they don't let me change it. They won't let me change it. Skill issue, yeah. That is crazy. Okay, so this thing complains that the arguments are wrong. This should be attributes. We're almost there now. It changed for you. It didn't change for me. We're doing nonsense study, right? We're doing absolute nonsense. I'm trying not to, but I'm struggling. There we go. That's one thing down. What did you say? Bean juice? I am very pleased with myself now. What's that, bean juice? What's that? I don't know how. I don't know. I don't think we can help you with that. Well, study that you made a bit of a mistake. Change the hype train. I tried to, but it won't let me, you lark. Now it's let me do it. There you go. I think it's the moment that something happens here, it changes. We're never gonna find out though. It's too late. There we go. All right. Whee! All right. And it's just going to hang out here. Okay. Yeah, I think it gets refreshed. I think that's what was happening. Although now it doesn't seem to do anything. I think mistakes were made. No, it ended. All right. There you go. Thank you guys so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Choo choo. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hype chest on the way, but we already got it. What is the percentage you get from bits and stuff? I don't know exactly. Enough to drink tea and keep doing this though. So that's nice. Okay, so we now made this change. We have some warnings knocking about, but we're gonna see if we can actually get this going. I think Twitch might take more than 30%, but I don't know. Yeah, if we have 100 subs, but that has to be 100. If you get like Twitch Partner Plus, which I'm, oh my god, never gonna be. But yeah, I don't know, right? If I get Twitch Partner Plus, then that's a different story. Then you have to have, yeah, you have to have 100 recurring subscribers, not 100 gift subs. Okay, so now we move this over to attributes. Should we try this, if this works now? Do we have any other templates? We could load A. That was it. That was it. We're done with that part. But the future values thing, that's definitely an issue. Okay, so now over at the templates evaluation, we have no more state. This thing has to go into attributes instead. Does this do const eval? Yeah, it does. Then this can just go, right? Yeah. All right, so that's the first thing. We just knows eval. Come on, man. Okay, fill sticks and then some. We got broken tests. Okay. Statement eval component. That's going to be inside the templates. Okay, so this one makes sense. We don't do this anymore. Done. Same thing's gonna be true for this. For this to make sense, we would have to change the curly brackets for brackets. Evaluate two identical components. What's the issue here? What did this used to look like? Unreachable code. Oh, right. We have to have the associations before. That makes sense. Eval component. Well, hello. There we go. All tests are back to working again. Okay. Really? Because the auto deref thing? Come on, Clippy. Sort your ship out. I wonder if I should move this into dev, though. Okay. So this has already been a step in the right direction, though. But one thing I don't know is if I broke something here. Let's have a look inside the A. Let's do this. If we press a button, if we press the X button, then we're going to tell context to set focus on something that has the attribute lol skill issue. Okay? So now we need to make sure this can be focused like that. Okay, let's panic here. So pressing X should now end the application there. Okay, then we're gonna go to look at what state do we have for A. We don't actually have a state for A, do we? Well, that's not relevant. We could just do this. On focus, panic. That did not work. Pressing X should... Oh, no, it... Idiot warning. We haven't given this thing... It works. I can press X to panic the application from here. If I do this, X no longer panics the application. Thank you for the follow. Oh man, this is pretty good. We're going to push that. Okay. So this takes us one step closer. We'll do an update. That's a breaking change though. Okay, but this is just taking us one step closer to where we need to go. Now we need to differentiate between these things. And I have no freaking idea how. And I also found out the future values is slow as DS. So yes. Okay. Back here we are. So if we scope a value, we don't know if the value is a state value or not. We don't have enough tests for this either. Fuck it. All right, I'm going to end the stream. I'm not getting anywhere with this thing. I'm going to go and do some other boring shit instead. So why don't we pass the... I don't know. Fuck rating. I'm just going to peace out. I will be back tomorrow, maybe. We'll see if I haven't died from confusion. You guys are great. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the scam train. It's wonderful. And I'll see you guys for my next stream. Bye.